When they said that not all that glitters is gold, they were referring to the golden opportunity Temi's two brothers presented to her in a platter. In a world where finding true love was like looking for a needle in a haystack, Temi and Bright found something beautiful and special. They fell in love when they were just teenagers, and a few months after they both went to their separate universities, Bright summoned the courage and asked Temi to be his girlfriend. Oh, they were only 18. Of course, a lot of people had unsolicited advices to give Temi, like he is going to meet more beautiful girls in the university and he will dump you before you know it. He is only going to distract you from facing your studies or even finding someone better. Teenage love doesn't last though, Temi. You are only setting yourself up for a heartbreak you are going to take years to heal from. But guess what? Temi paid deaf ears to all of them and followed her heart. What people thought would not stand the test of years away in the university blossomed like fresh flowers. For Temi and Bright, their love grew stronger through commitment, honesty, and loyalty. But reality hit after graduation and National Youth Service. Bright couldn't get a good job, and neither could Temi, unfortunately. Even though the love they had for each other never dwindled, they were faced with the harsh reality of the horrible economic situation of the country, and Temi's older brothers were already breathing down her neck. They wanted her to settle down as early as 25 to a financially stable man and start a family. And that didn't seem like what Bright was capable of providing at the moment. Temi was patient, but what about her brothers? Of course they weren't. You are an adult now, Temi. Gone are the days of butterflies and teenage love. What you need is stability, security, and a better life, they often told Temi. But Temi already let them know that it was either Bright or no one else. They had been together for 8 years now, and Bright was the only man she had ever known. How was she supposed to just leave him because he wasn't the standard of a husband her brothers wanted for her? Even if he didn't have a fancy house or take her on expensive dates, he was still Temi's knight in shining armor. But, come to think of it, how long will their love stand the test of the country's terrible economy? When Temi got a message from her brothers asking her to come and see them, Temi knew that she was about to sit through another couple of hours listening to them talk about how Bright was unfit for her. Unfortunately, she could not turn it down or come up with any excuse. Just like the other times, Temi was prepared to stand up for the man she loved. Later that day, Temi got dressed and went to visit her brothers, Kola and Bode. The way they were seated was enough to tell Temi that the reason why they called her was a very serious one. Temi, Kola called with a stern and masculine voice. Yes, brother, Temi answered. How old are you now? He asked. Temi didn't understand the direct question. She looked at Bode, but Bode and Kola were a team, so she couldn't get help from there. 25, Temi answered. They knew her age quite alright, but these were her brothers, and Temi would have to answer the question. What is that boyfriend of yours saying about the relationship, eh? Bode asked, a little too harshly. Temi didn't like how condescending and disrespectful they always sounded, when they questioned her about Bright. But now wasn't the time to lecture them on that. I don't understand, Temi said, feigning ignorance when she knew quite well exactly what they meant. This wasn't the first time after all. When is he going to come and marry you? They both asked at the same time, as though they had rehearsed the speech even before sending for Temi. Bright is only 25 years old. He is still struggling to get on his feet, Temi answered. She thought her brothers would understand. And then when he eventually gets on his feet, maybe at 31 or 35, he will find one small 21-year-old girl and settle down with, Kola analyzed. I'm sure that before Bright gets to 30, he would have figured life out. And I'm also trying to get a job so that I can support him, Temi said, defending Bright. And of course, the love they stood for. So you want to be the one taking care of a man, eh, Temi? Body asked, his eyes almost falling out of their socket in shock. That wasn't what I meant to, Temi said. She knew that her brothers were intentionally twisting her words. Didn't their wives also work to support the family? Kola's wife was a principal in one of the biggest private schools in the city, while Bode's wife was a nurse at the only teaching hospital. So, why was her case different? Why were they sounding like she said she wanted to work so that she could pay Bright's groom price and not the other way around? Tell us what you want, Madam Graduate, Bode demanded. Temi adjusted herself to explain, but Kola cut her off instantly. Eh? And she really wants to explain, oh, Kola said. Don't mind her. She thinks that age waits for a woman. Once a woman is above 25, she loses her prime, even to the man who claims to love her, Bode stated. Temi's lips tightened as she murmured angrily. Mm-hmm. If she had known that this was the reason they called her, she might not have shown up. Anyway, this is not the reason we asked you to come, Bode said again. Now they were talking. We called you to come because we have good news for you. Something that will change your life and this family forever, Kola announced. Temi's ears were wide open, eager to hear this good news. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to turn on your notification button for more interesting stories like this. What is this good news? Temi asked her older brothers. Scholarship to study abroad, in Canada at that, Kola said with a broad smile. Fully funded scholarship to do your masters abroad, Bode added with the same enthusiasm. Temi forced a smile. It was supposed to be good news, right? But why did her heart skip when she heard it? Maybe it was because she thought of Bright and how she would be separated from him. A friend of ours, Solo, has told us about this scholarship that is ongoing. It is a good thing you graduated with a second-class upper. All he needs is just your document and we will start processing your travel plans. Bode explained. Travel plans? Won't I gain admission first? Temi asked uncomfortably. Temi wasn't a novice. Some of her friends had joined the Japa train and were currently studying abroad, and as a result, Temi was privy to the knowledge that it wasn't just something that was done in the blink of an eye. Some even had to take the IELTS exams. But here were her brothers, talking about travel plans even before telling her the name of the university. Where is that one done? Yes, you will. Bode was just too excited, and so he skipped all that part. But not to worry. Every information you need, you will get. Kola responded to Temi's question. Like he said, we just need your documents to start processing everything for you. He added, just like that? Temi asked, still not convinced. Yes, Temi. Solo is in Canada and he knows how these things work. Bode said, and we trust him with our lives because we have known him before. Besides, it is a fully funded scholarship, so we won't have to worry about raising millions for your fees. Solo will handle everything, Kola explained further. Temi wasn't comfortable with the idea, but what more could she say? They said everything so fast that Temi could barely process it. Before she knew it, she had already given them every document they requested from her. Later that night, she spoke to Bright. She told him everything her brothers had told her and how uncomfortable the whole thing made her feel. She was careful not to mention the part where they talked about Bright. I don't know if I want to travel or not, and I don't even know this man called Solo that they kept mentioning. I have never heard of his name. Temi confided in Bright. Hmm. Anyway, I think it is a good idea. Your brothers love you, Temi. I'm sure they will not want to do anything that will put you in harm's way. So, if they trust this man who is going to make everything go smoothly, then you ought to trust him as well. Bright told Temi. Then he went ahead to carefully explain to Temi why she should see this as a golden opportunity. The country is getting tougher. There are rarely jobs for graduates and the cost of things have gone up. Everyone in the country is seizing every opportunity they have to leave the country. In Temi's case, it is better that she is going for her masters and not anything illegal. After her long conversation with Bright, Temi still didn't feel relief, and here is why. She knew everything Bright had already mentioned because she wasn't only an adult, but she was also a victim of the poor system of the country. So she knew. Eventually, Temi decided to talk about the one thing that had been troubling her that Bright didn't remember to mention. What about us? Temi asked Bright sadly. One thing Temi knew for sure was what Japa had done to many relationships and marriages. She wasn't even bothered about distance because she and Bright went to two different universities for almost 5 years, strike and all, and their relationship wasn't affected. But this was outside the country they were talking about. A lot of people who have relocated to better countries for greener pastures by whatever means and for whatever reason struggled with having a balanced life. For those who schooled and worked, it was even more tedious. The days spent outside the classroom were for taking long hours working to be able to afford the bills there. All that adjusting was enough to choke any relationship, and Temi didn't want to lose Bright, not in this life or the next. Are you not worried about our relationship? Temi asked Bright, being that he didn't mention it. I am not worried about it because I trust you, Temi, and I have confidence in the love that we share, Bright told Temi lovingly. He went on to convince Temi that this was a blessing in disguise for them. Ever since they graduated, getting a job is like trying to break down a mountain of rocks. But now, one of them has the opportunity to travel out of the country to make life better and easier. In Bright's opinion, all Temi needed to do was get to Canada, settle in first, and then send for Bright. Together, they would build the future they had always envisioned. If Bright was the one with the opportunity, he wouldn't hesitate because this is what he would have done. And he believes that Temi would do the same. Temi was relieved beyond words, and the excitement of traveling like everyone else fell upon her instantly. She spent the rest of the night talking to Bright about it. Soon, having lunch will not be a problem because they will both be able to afford it. They will go on so many vacations together. And when they eventually start having kids, money will not be something they are worried about. It was just perfect. The next time Temi called her brothers, they could tell the difference in her mood. And just like that, Temi's travel plans kicked off. Temi could already see herself in Canada, going to school, working, and making plans for Bright to join her. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Temi's joy knew no bounds as the travel preparations kicked off in earnest. She and Bright began to count the days until her departure. But that was not to say that the break of every dawn didn't leave her with a feeling of anxiety and sadness. The thought of leaving Bright without knowing the exact time he would join her crushed her. But Bright, being always supportive and encouraging, tried to lift her spirit every single time. Then, one day, Temi realized that she had forgotten something of hers in Kola's house and she needed to go and get it. And that did change the course of everything for Temi. When she got there, she found Bode's car in the compound, which meant that he was visiting their brother. Temi went in as she usually would, but she stopped when she overheard the conversation between her brothers. Solo has said everything is ready. All we have to do is start processing Temi's papers. We should take her to the embassy as soon as possible, Kola said. I think we should wait for another 2 weeks, Bode suggested. Why? Kola asked. Temi is very smart. If we start talking to her about going to the embassy, she would know that this is too fast. And she might suspect that we are not sending her to Canada for her masters. Bode answered. Temi's mouth fell open in shock. If they were not sending her to Canada for her masters, why then were they sending her there? As shocked and confused as she was, Temi patiently stayed by the door and eavesdropped. But you and I know that Solo is eager to meet his wife. He cannot exercise any more patience. You saw how eager he was for Temi to join him the last time we spoke to him, Kola argued. Temi almost gasped in shock, but she was quick enough to use her hands to cover her mouth because she knew that any sound from her would attract attention. So, this man called Solo was her husband-to-be. Her brothers talked about how they didn't approve of Bright for Temi. He was too young and he didn't have his life figured out. Solo, on the other hand, was older and wealthy. He had been generously giving Kola and Bode a lot of money in the last couple of months. And so they had to pay him back with their sister for a wife. You know now, scratch my back, I scratch your back. However, they knew that Temi wouldn't just agree to it. So, they used the scholarship story to get her. And it worked. Once Temi got to Canada, she would be married off to Solo. By then, she wouldn't have a choice. Tears gathered in Temi's eyes as she hurried out of her brother's house without even letting them know that she was ever there or heard anything. Temi took a tricycle and went straight to Bright. This was not something that she could keep to herself any longer. They are planning to marry me off to someone I have never met, Temi cried to Bright. Bright was stupefied for some minutes. In this 21st century, do people still do that? Several years back, it was common for families to marry off their daughters, but Bright thought that ended years ago. I trusted them, but they are willing to sell me off to someone I don't even know about because he's richer and lives abroad, Temi said she was so heartbroken that she didn't know what else to do or say. I can't believe they would do this, especially knowing that we have been together for so long now. I never said I wasn't going to marry you, no matter how long it took, Bright said. But they both knew why he wasn't the choice for Temi. Temi seized Bright by the hands and looked at him with raw desperation in her eyes. We have to do something, Bright. I cannot marry a stranger I do not know, Temi said. Aside from the fact that her heart belonged to someone else, there were other things that scared Temi to her bones. What if this man was evil and didn't treat her well? How would she get away from him, being that she was in a country she didn't know much about? How would she find her way to Nigeria? A lot of things ran through Temi's mind. I don't even want you to marry anyone else, my love. I cannot imagine my life without you, Bright said. Maybe we should run away, Temi suggested. If they don't see me, they won't have anyone to take to the embassy or deceive into going to Canada, she told Bright. But Bright shook his head. I don't think that is a good idea, Bright told Temi. Why not? Temi asked Bright in return. She would have thought that he would be eager to run away with her, and they would start their lives without any hindrances. If we run away, they will know that I have a hand in it, Temi. My family will pay for it, as I cannot run away with my entire family too. Think about my aged father, and think about my sick mother. Your brothers will have them arrested, and I will be tagged a kidnapper, Bright explained. It was typical of Bright to always analyze the pros and cons of every situation in the blink of an eye, which was exactly why it was hard for him to make any bad decision. Then come and pay my bride price, Temi urged him. Just anything to save her from the doom that is about to befall her. Bright's shoulders fell in defeat. If he had the money, he would have done that long before now, but he didn't. Getting a loan was completely out of the question at the moment because Bright's family was already in bigger debts. However, something must be done. Bright and Temi sat together and began to hatch another plan. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to turn on your notification for After more. The plan Temi and Bright settled for, she went about the travel plans like nothing had changed. Temi did everything her brothers wanted her to do, and in their presence, she kept up the excitement and enthusiasm. You are going to make us proud when you get to Canada, Bode and Kola told Temi. She smiled at them. I can't wait, she told them. The days went by really fast, and so did the weeks. In no time, Temi's papers were ready. She noticed how they stopped mentioning anything about schooling, but she didn't ask questions because she already knew what they were up to, and Temi was ready to beat them to their game. The big day came, and Temi had the brightest smile anyone had ever seen. All preparations had been made, and they were ready to drive Temi to the airport. When you get to Canada, Solo will pick you up at the airport, and he will handle everything else from there. You don't have to worry about anything, Temi, Kola said, sounding like a concerned big brother. We already told you that we trust Solo completely, Bode chipped in. Temi nodded like an obedient lizard. Why not? But as the time ticked, she looked forward to the big shock that awaited her brothers. They thought they had succeeded in their little game, right? Little did they know that Temi had been in the ring, playing the game with them all along. They were just about to set out to the airport when they heard the rowdy noise coming from outside. Who are those? Bright asked worriedly. I'm sure it is those touts looking for money. Kola responded with confidence. But Bode didn't think so. He had been living in this neighborhood for a long time now, and never has he been disturbed by touts or street mongrels. While they were still wondering what was going on, they heard a firm knock on the door. Touts certainly don't have the audacity to knock on people's doors, Bode said. Meanwhile, Temi watched them like a clueless girl, but in her heart, she was rejoicing already. Bode eventually opened the door to check who it was, and behold, Bright had come with all his family members. What is going on here? What are you doing here? Kola and Bode asked angrily at the same time. They never liked Bright though, and they never bothered to mask it. We are here to stop you from doing what you're about to do, Bright said with a level of confidence that Temi hadn't seen before. Bode and Kola were surprised. Did you put him up to this? Bode asked Temi, who stayed mute. Listen, young man, I don't know what you think you are doing, but you cannot stop Temi from going to Canada today. And if you don't leave here this very minute, I am going to get you arrested for trespassing, Kola told Bright. They expected Bright to shiver with fear, but Bright didn't. His family was solidly behind him, and he knew the plan he had carried out with Temi. Then I will sue you for forcing Temi to leave the country with my child, Bright countered. Ah, Kola and Bode were confused for a few seconds. Your child? What are you talking about? Kola asked Bright while Bode turned to Temi again. What is Bright talking about? Bode asked his sister. Only then did Temi rise slowly and carefully. Then she dug her hand into her purse and brought out a test result. I am pregnant, brother, Temi announced to them. Kola snatched the paper from her to have a quick look because he didn't want to believe what he was hearing. But Temi was right. In their eyes was Temi's pregnancy test result. Is this a joke? The brothers asked at the same time, hoping that Temi was playing a prank on them. It is not. You can take me to the nearest hospital to do a quick test, but the result is going to come out the same. And Bright here is responsible, Temi told them. Kola was already breathing heavily. We all know that it is a crime to take my child out of the country without my consent, Bright added. For a moment, Temi thought that her brothers were going to collapse. Color had drained from their faces as they couldn't believe what was happening. Temi, how could you do this to us? Kola asked, almost in tears. What is going to happen to your admission? Bode asked, placing his hands on his head. Are you worried about my non-existent admission or what you are going to tell Solo? Temi asked her brothers. As she stared at them, she felt the weight of their betrayal. What are you talking about? Kola and Bode asked, acting ignorant. I know that you are shipping me off to Canada as a bride to Solo and not as a student. You both have collected money from him in place of my dignity, happiness and love, Temi told them. Kola and Bode were shocked. How did Temi find out? Who told her? I overheard it all. Temi answered the questions her brother were too shocked to ask. Bright might be poor now, but she loved him. The country might be in chaos, but Temi would rather stay right here with Bright and deal with all that than go far away to a place she had never been before to become the wife of someone she has never met. Bode and Kola begged, asking Temi to reconsider, but Temi didn't listen to them. Bright would marry her now, and they will have their baby together. But as for Kola and Bode, Temi had no idea if she would be able to forgive them. Even if she forgave them, she wouldn't be able to trust them again for what they had done. As Temi left with Bright, she smiled happily at a plan that worked better than they had even imagined. No, she wasn't pregnant. At least, not yet. But her brothers fell for the lie, hook, line, and sinker. No Canada, no solo, and Temi got to stay with the man she loved. Please drop a comment and turn on your notifications to get more stories like this.